My name's Holly Bridges. You've probably clicked on a link to come and look at this page because you thought it might be interesting. It is.
And I gotta say that her work is profoundly life-changing. On a very, very subtle, deep level, too, where other people will talk to you about, okay, here's how to cook, or here's how to regulate your emotions. It's very hard to verbalize what Holly does, because she just sort of, it doesn't look like she does much, but it's so finessed and it's so subtle that it ends up changing everything.
So Scott discovered your book, and he read it and underlined lots of parts of it, and he also had seen you talk on AE, so he came to trust you and your understanding of his state. And he would take that book with him to school. He'd carry it with him. It was one of his just must-have on me at all time things.
I don't remember what happened around this one event, but I looked down at my dog and gave the brightest, freest smile and wave I've ever given in my life, and I still haven't topped it. The first time I engaged with your method, I had hope for sure.
Your talks. And I was really intrigued because you were coming at it from a totally different direction. And I thought, okay, I haven't tried this. Everybody else is trying to make our handicapped kids fit into the world. So they've got to do all the adjustments and they're already compromised. Whereas you were going internal and trying to connect things that have been traumatically disjointed or dislodged, connect them back so that then the persons themselves can look at the situation and do something that actually fits into normal society. They're not coerced into doing it, they're not bribed into doing it, they're not restrained into doing it. They're doing it, it's coming from the inside. Our relationship now, where I was her carer, she never showed me any love. Well, our relationship is totally different. We're more friends now. If I give her a hug, she actually gives me a little squeeze back.
Reframe your thinking around autism. I wrote about 10 years ago. It looks at the body, it looks at the brain-body connection, and it looks at what happens when we drop out, when our bodies immobilize, when we go into a flight or fight state, how much access we lose to mental functioning and to being able to control our bodies, have coordination, all sorts of things. I find this absolutely fascinating. And it's so relevant for people with intellectual disability, for people with autism, for people with ADHD, because there is so much awareness of how these functions go offline and people don't have access to their body and their brain in the way that they'd like to. And what I see from my work is just how much we can change that for people. We're not fixing them, but we are enhancing their alignment of their nervous system so their brain and body work better, which I think is a very worthy goal. I'm very good at teaching it. I'm very good at simplifying a whole lot of science so that it just makes sense. And that's what people say the most when they use my work and they learn my work is, wow, that makes so much sense. And then they go, thank you, I've been able to help my child. Thank you, now the people in my practice are so much less anxious. I can actually talk to them and we can get something done. So these are wonderful tools that I've got to share with you. I do it within a very neurodivergent context so that we do it with a huge amount of safety and kindness and generosity. And then really that's the only way we get to work with the nervous system is from that position of kindness, but high order intelligence at the same time. I very much like to build a community of practice. So I ran this course first in 2021 and we had about 100 people do it, and those people have stuck around, and we're continuing to grow and develop, build the community, and have continuous live calls, which are part of the course, and a Facebook group, so I can support you in learning how to do this work. and very much support you how to remember what you know, because I think I'm not teaching anything new. I think what I'm doing is teaching something we've always known and we've forgotten. And we've been conditioned to think a whole lot of ways about learning and what learning is and who people can be and what they can be, when we bring it back to a level of simplicity, when we learn to trust ourselves, when we learn to work with kindness with the people in front of us and kindness to ourselves and pace ourselves and go gently, a whole lot of magic happens. And that's what I see with my work. Just incredible changes, huge changes. So I really hope you can join me. It's worth your time. And while it isn't a quick fix, when you learn these exercises, they're very quick, because when you've taught someone how to bring themselves into a good place, you can effortlessly help them remember to do these exercises, and you can use them on the spot if they're willing. But they're only willing if we set it up right first. And so this is worth your time. It's a 6-week course. You can go at your own pace. We keep connected after that, and we keep having live calls which you can be a part of for a whole 12 months afterwards, so you can start to imbue yourselves with this new yet old and very beautiful way of working and being.
Hi, I'm Andrew Moses. I run Optimum Ability Support Services, a mental health support provider to NDIS participants. It is no exaggeration to say that Holly Bridges and A.R.T stand at the forefront of more humane, respectful, and effective help for some of our community's most vulnerable members. I recommend A.R.T completely and without reservation.
Max was just screaming at the sight of his sister, so could not be in the same room as her at all. After our first couple of sessions, he invited her into his room and they played under the covers. And then, so sometimes that had happened a couple of times, but like very short, and then he'd go to bite her. Then this time he played under the covers with her, and then they went outside into the lounge room, and they're running up and down there, and then they moved outside, and then they're like playing with the hose together, and I was like, oh my God.
His first session, I noticed some significant changes. His facial expressions were just really different, like much more expressive. I was used to seeing, really since he was born, just mostly stoic, mostly a non-expressive face. And I noticed that the first morning after his first session that his face was very much more alive, more, there's more color in it, and just more expressive. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's like I keep seeing expressions on his face that I've never seen before. And so in a lot of ways, it's really like meeting him for the first time.